Hi, everybody. It's me, Leah, again, and I have the privilege of sitting here with Adam and Kyla Pearce, who are with the Love Your Brain Foundation. We have the honor of partnering with the Love Your Brain Foundation. We've done some caregiver grants with them, and they have provided us with so much wealth of knowledge. They just are an amazing resource, an amazing organization. So I wanted to sit down with them and just talk about what they've got going on. So, Adam, you're the co-founder and executive director. Will you talk to us a little bit just about what the Love Your Brain Foundation is, how it got started, and yes, take it away.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Leah. So this journey for us began about 15 years ago. My youngest brother was a professional snowboarder training for the 2010 Winter Olympics, and he sustained a bad accident, a traumatic brain injury after an accident in one of the trainings for the Olympics. And that kind of put us, into a world that we were very unfamiliar with around head injuries. And it ended up, being many months in the hospital and in many years since in terms of trying to understand how to heal and move forward and navigate the life after brain injury. He was incredibly fortunate to be incredibly resilient and have an incredible network behind him to kind of support him through the ongoing early stages, and then also to now. But in that journey, we ended up doing an HBO documentary called The Crash Reel, and that really brought to light the prevalence and complexity of brain injury throughout the world. And when I say brain injury, that's everything from concussions to even more severe brain injuries. And when we recognized that, we also saw just the gaps in care, specifically when you leave a hospital to when you get home, really just a real fall off in terms of support and care in that space. And then, and then also just a lack of community support. So about 10 years ago, we started the Love Your Brain Foundation, really with an effort to understand how could we create programs that were designed to support people holistically, really focusing on the mind, the body, and the social aspect of connection. Since then we've been kind of innovating and leading research to find ways to support people through the kind of lifelong journey that people go on. Another exciting part for us is supporting the caregivers as well, which the Ryan Blaney Foundation has been so instrumental in setting us up with the resources to support, not only the people affected, but also with the caregivers.
Yeah, I love what you said there. There is I don't love the disconnect, but there is such a disconnect from the hospital and your diagnosis, the initial realization of what you've got going on, to being sent home. And now what do I do? And I'm so grateful that you guys exist, because you are able to help those people in those moments of when they get home and they're like, what now? So what are some different programs that you guys offer, whether it's in person, you guys do online too? Tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on, because you do a lot.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in and share a little bit. So, big picture, given what Adam was saying about how brain injury is so complex, programs really need to touch on multiple different dimensions of someone's healing experience. So what that means is our programs we have different programs that integrate mindfulness, gentle movement through yoga, brain health nutrition, education about why resilience is important instead of just trying to recover and return to the person you once were. And then a heavy emphasis on community connection and social support. And the way that we deliver that curriculum is through different online as well as in-person programs. So for instance, our largest program is called Love Your Brain Mindset, which is an online 6-week yoga, mindfulness, and psychoeducation program that brings people with brain injury and caregivers together to learn different practices as well as principles of positive psychology for how to move through adversity. So, for instance, one of the themes of every week has a specific theme, and one of them is about the power of realistic optimism. So, how do you see challenge, but also believe in yourself and find a way forward? Since anyone who's been impacted by brain injury knows there's a lot of adversity,
Yeah.
and there's still ways that we can work through that adversity, even though it might not be the way that we originally thought we could. So we do programs like that serve about 3,000 people a year across the US and also in Canada and other English speaking countries. But then we also realize how important it is to bring people together in person, in community, also outside of their daily routines. So we offer what we call Love Your Brain community retreats in 4 to 5 different states across the US, which are 5-day holistic health retreats that are really designed to deepen people's connection to those different modalities. So how can people learn how to practice gentle yoga to help improve chronic pain or their mobility, or to
Yeah.
practice mindfulness for how to pay more attention, how to build a sense of belonging through storytelling and shared understanding. So those programs are really designed to complement each other by having an online accessible program for anyone wherever you are. You can do it from the comfort of your own home, but then also for people who want to go deeper to have really a container where they can immerse themselves and
Yeah.
hopefully take away practices that they can bring home, certainly, but just a
Right.
little bit different, but hopefully complementary.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's community makes such a bigger impact than we realize. These injuries can be so like isolating. You think just no one else is going through it. And you're right, they're probably not going through the exact thing that you're going through, but they're going through it similarly. They're experiencing parts and pieces that might be the same. And it's feels so isolating when you're sitting at home like, what do I do now? Who can I talk to? Because your loved one isn't facing that. And that's amazing that you guys have an option to build a community and be like, hey, can I talk about this with you? Like hearing other people's stories just makes you feel like if they can do it, I can do it. Like I can keep pushing through one more day.
Mm. And Leah, like that was probably the most common thing we heard, after the film, and yeah, and just hearing people's story, it was that common feeling of feeling isolated.
Yeah.
Um, and it can feel very isolating even to like your own self, because so often it can reshape your identity, and people are
Yeah.
not the same as they were before, and trying to be in relationships with people in a different way.
Yeah.
And yeah, that can feel so isolating in so many ways, which was really what we saw in the very early days of like when you bring people together and open that vulnerability and allow people to really feel seen as they are, rather than, often wanting people seeing them as who they used to be.
Yeah.
That just in itself can open up so many doors to healing.
Yes, I think, we see that a lot too in the dementia space as well. People don't realize like this person knows they're changing. This person with the brain injury knows they're different and they're trying to be who they used to be. And like we just have to accept them for who they are and kind of meet them where they're at and know like support them and letting them know like, hey, we love you just how you are. It might be different, but you're still the same person deep down and like we still love you. So
Mm.
I love that you guys are promoting that sense of community and helping just make that possible for people. um I know we've done some grants for you guys for caregivers. For a caregiver retreat, what does that kind of look like? Because I know a lot of people just think about the patient or the person living with the injury or the dementia. What does it look like when a caregiver gets to come and experience a retreat with you guys?
Do you want to speak to that, Adam, or would you like me to?
Um, I I'll start, and then I'd love for you to carry that on. But I think one, as a caregiver, I stopped my job when Kevin got hurt and basically worked by his side for a year.
Wow.
And I think as a caregiver, you, as you said, like so much of the attention is not on the caregivers, but the role is so substantial, and it
Yeah.
often creates such a burden in people's lives in terms of the new thing they have on their plate that maybe they didn't have space for, or the change in whatever their career has to be. But um, yeah, it often just it changes so many people's lives, and to to be a good caregiver, it often requires um, a lot of the same work, that we're
Yeah.
trying to give people with the brain injuries. But I often always have said that like the work actually is almost as equal to what the caregivers and support the caregivers need, because
Yeah.
burnout happens so often. And they're just, the demands are so high that it's just a big area that I think is overlooked very often. And it's an area that, I particularly find very fulfilling because, as someone was in that role and seeing
Yeah.
that, and how much better in relationship I was able to be with Kevin and as a brother, came from a lot of the personal work that I started doing for myself.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And so kind of building on that, I think our caregiver retreats have evolved over time. We used to actually offer them in person to really give that feeling of getting some like that, the sacredness of being out of your routine in a
Yeah.
container shared by other people. And we also realize that's a tall ask for some people who
Yeah.
have the daily responsibilities of caregiving. So we moved them to now online. So they're also over 6 weeks and really designed to give caregivers a balance of time for rest. So we always open with some intentional pause and meditation. Even if you're not into meditation or it's new to you,
Yeah.
it's really an opportunity for people to feel in their bodies what it's like to slow down, recognize the momentum that might be carrying into that moment, and just let things settle a little bit, and how freeing that can be to not have anyone asking or any
Yeah.
responsibilities of you other than just settling. So it's a blend of rest, but then also offering different practices and perspectives that can help, as Adam was saying, shift a little bit of the attention in a U-turn way of how to tend to the inner resources of that caregiver. So for instance, one of the sessions we talk about is this idea of ambiguous loss. So what does it mean to give yourself the space to actually grieve and recognize that maybe some of the hopes and dreams of how things could have been aren't happening in that way,
Yeah.
and to honor and support the kind of emotional process of tending to that, so that there can then be um, a recognition that the love that underlies the loss is something to trust.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. There's other ones like how to find balance, knowing that that's um, a dance that's very individualized, but what does it mean to notice your own needs and your loved ones' needs and be in a practice of holding the two in priority? So it's those are the types of kind of empowering tools that we hope people will
Yeah.
learn and take away so that they have more trust in themselves.
Right. That's awesome. I love hearing, it is such a balance. I feel like we all balance a million things, a day, but to have that added weight that you weren't expecting, and like you said, it can be a loss of, well, I thought life was going to look this way, or we had these plans, and now what do we do? And the caregiver doesn't often get a lot of time to grieve or reflect or just rest in those feelings to try and heal too, because you just move your focus, and people move their focus to how do we care for the person with the injury.
And there's right, very important kind of logistical problem solving needs that are critical, and at the same
Right.
time, more of the how are we relating to our experience and having more awareness and bringing in sources of joy and happiness to help mm, kind of fortify when
Yeah.
there are hard moments. So
Right.
that's a little bit of, yeah, maybe a little more flavor of what our caregiver retreats look like. And we offer them, thanks to the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, now twice a year, which has been
Awesome.
a really exciting way to expand access to retreats that really aren't available anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. How many people are able to do those retreats at a time?
We usually try and keep it to about 30 to 35.
Yeah.
So large enough so that when we do smaller breakout groups, large enough that there can be rich and robust conversation, but small enough that it still feels very intimate. And one thing
Right.
that has been a really, I think, beautiful aspect of it is we create retreat partners. So there's another individual that you go through the retreat experience with, and we'll
That's
talk
cool.
outside of the designated time to build a relationship and kind of apply the tools and practices and perspectives into daily life so that you leave with a dear friend as well as something
Yeah.
that you can kind of process with.
That's awesome. I was just about to ask, do you ever have feedback from the caregivers and say, like, months later, years later, like, I'm still friends with this person, or we're still communicating?
We have,
Oh,
yeah, we have groups that have been meeting for like 7 years,
Wow.
and do it completely outside of our kind of organizing, but have, yeah, built these friendships and,
That's amazing.
again, these communities that really uplift each other to navigate, yeah, again, like the ongoing nature of a lot of the
Yeah.
responsibilities.
I mean, that is so fulfilling. That has to be so fulfilling to you guys, because you're making such a big impact in these people's lives in that moment. But look at what you guys are doing long term, like that's such a testimony to the things that you guys are doing and providing to these people. And I just commend you guys. I think you guys are awesome.
Well, thank
thanks.
you. We can't do it without your all support. So it's a mutual appreciation.
Well, we love to be a part of it. If people are interested in maybe finding more about these retreats or even signing up for one, where can they find you? How can they get some more information?
Go for it, Kai.
Yeah, so the good thing about Love Your Brain is we always have a program open. So, whether it may not be the caregiver retreat, we have other caregiver-focused programming. So you can always go to our website, which is loveyourbrain.com, and you can also reach out to us. Our email is info@loveyourbrain.com, and we have a really dedicated, caring, wonderful team that does such a good job of shepherding people to the right path for how not only they can support themselves, but also if they have loved ones with brain injury. So really trying to take a whole kind of family approach to how we can offer support.
Yeah, that's amazing. There was another question that I was going to ask, but it just slipped my brain. Adam, where can we watch the documentary?
On most streaming services, but if you Google the crash reel, you will find out, yeah, where to stream that. You can also buy a DVD from our website, but I don't know how many people
I
still
know.
use DVDs.
I know. I keep thinking to myself, like, should I give my kids a DVD player? Like, that would be kind of fun, bring them back. That's so awesome. If people go to your website and they're just looking like for some free resources, what are some types of things that they can find on your website?
Lots of good stuff. We actually have the largest kind of brain injury focused meditation library. So that's also for caregivers as well. There's 150 free practices that are
Wow.
designed to support sleep or focus or loving kindness or different qualities that you might be looking for.
Yeah.
And we also have all of our free programming is available. We try to organize it by if you're looking for something online versus in person. And we also have we call it the Learning Lab speaker series. So every about 6 weeks have different experts who come and speak about, for instance, how to find balance in the caregiving journey, other topics related to finding physical, mental, and social well-being after brain injury and caregiving. So that's a great resource too.
Amazing. 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 You guys are doing such awesome things. Like I said, we're just so honored and privileged to know you and to be able to support you guys. And thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add before we wrap it up?
No,
Just
just a
you
lot
go
of
for
gratitude and appreciation. Yeah, for all you do to, yeah, bring more awareness, because that's another big aspect of this. Brain injury or concussions, they can be so invisible.
Yeah.
And often, but as I said, there's over 3 million brain injuries are happening every year. And it's important that the conversation is talked about, and there's the right resources and support for people when they hit their head.
Yes.
So we're just incredibly grateful for anyone who sees that important and prioritizes that. And yeah, love partnering with people who value that as well.
Yeah, no, awareness is huge. And, I think in the athletic industry, so many times it can be swept under the rug, brain injuries, because they just have to keep going and keep working and keep playing. And, I just would love for people to know that, hey, there is help out there, there's resources, and like it is a big deal too, and you gotta take care of your brain. So again, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. And we'll put all your info, I think they call it the show notes maybe these days, but we'll put it all in there so people can find you. And we'll talk again really soon.
Thanks, Leah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Leah.